The river village of Omelemba woke each morning to the gentle murmur of flowing water. But in recent weeks, that murmur carried a strange heaviness. Chuma felt it every dawn as he pushed his canoe into the river, the paddle slicing through water that seemed unusually still. He was a humble fisherman, known for his calm nature and honest smile. But lately, even his spirit had begun to feel the weight that hovered over the village like a quiet fog. Elders forgot stories they had told all their lives. Children woke crying from dreams they could not remember, and the marketplace, once filled with laughter, now felt hollow. Something unseen was draining the life of his people. Chuma first noticed it when old Mama Nkiru, who never forgot a face, stared blankly at him as though he were a stranger. The next day, young Kosi, a boy who loved to race through the village chasing chickens, wandered aimlessly without recognizing his own mother. Every day brought a new crack in the village's memory. But the strangest sign came from Madam Ijeoma, the village herbalist. She had always been a wrinkled old woman with a crooked back and tired eyes. But suddenly her gait became lighter, her skin smoother, and her voice strangely vibrant. People praised her miraculous healing abilities, but Chuma's heart whispered caution. Her transformation felt wrong, like seeing night masquerade as day. One night, unable to sleep, Chuma sat by the riverbank, watching the moon ripple on the dark water. A cold breeze swept through the trees, carrying voices too faint to understand. As he listened, a shadow moved behind him, delicate footsteps, steady and purposeful. He turned just in time to see Madam Ijeoma slipping into the forest, clutching a small calabash that glowed faintly. Her movements were swift, unlike the frail woman she once was. Chuma's heart hammered. Something was terribly wrong, and whatever she was doing at this late hour felt connected to the mysterious weakness spreading through Omelemba. And so, with quiet determination, he rose to follow her, unaware that he was stepping into a world that revealed itself only once every 7 years. The forest at night was not a place Chuma ever wished to enter, yet something stronger than fear pushed him onward. Madam Ijeoma moved with surprising grace for a woman of her age, weaving between tall Irako trees like a shadow born of moonlight. Chuma followed at a careful distance, stepping only when the wind rustled the leaves or an owl hooted overhead. Every sense felt sharpened, his breath shallow, his heart pounding, his ears alert to even the faintest crack of a twig. He sensed that this path held secrets older than the village itself. The deeper they went, the colder the air became, and the forest seemed to watch him with unseen eyes. The faint glow of Madam Ijeoma's calabash intensified as she approached a clearing. Chuma crouched behind a thick trunk, peering out. At the center of the clearing lay a flat, circular stone, ancient and covered in markings that shimmered like wet ink. Ijeoma knelt before it, placing the glowing calabash at its center. She murmured words that curled through the air like smoke. Words Chuma did not understand, but which made his skin prickle with dread. As her voice deepened, the ground trembled softly, and a thin crack of silvery light split the stone. A quiet hum rose, vibrating through Chuma's bones. Whatever she was doing, it was no ordinary ritual. Suddenly, the air shifted. A soft ripple spread through the clearing, bending moonlight as though the world itself were exhaling. Then Chuma saw it, an archway forming in the air, woven from light and shadow, expanding slowly until it stood taller than a man. Through it shimmered a strange vision. Stalls with floating lanterns, merchants with no faces, and shelves filled with jars that held moving shadows. Chuma's breath caught in his chest. It was a market, an invisible one hidden from the human eye, now revealed only because Ijeoma had opened the way. She stepped into the archway without hesitation, her body dissolving into the light. Chuma knew he should run back to the village. No one would believe him, but he could at least warn the elders, wake the hunters, do something. Yet as he stared at the archway, he felt a pull stronger than fear. Something in that market was stealing the dreams and memories of his people. Something Madam Ijeoma had embraced willingly. If he turned back now, whatever she planned might consume the entire village. With a steadying breath, Chuma stepped from behind the tree, and approached the shimmering doorway. The moment he crossed through, the world twisted, the forest vanished, and the spirit market opened before him, brighter, stranger, and more dangerous than any place he had ever imagined. Chuma staggered as the world reshaped itself around him. The air here felt alive, thick with drifting motes of blue and gold light that pulsed like tiny hearts. He stood on a pathway made of smooth black stone, and on either side rose stalls crafted from mist, wood, bones, and materials he could not name. Lanterns floated above them without strings, glowing with colors he had never seen. Colors that seemed to hum softly, as though singing their own names. Spirits and strange beings walked the market, each one distinct. Some tall as palm trees with elongated shadows, others as small as children, wearing masks of animal faces. A few floated rather than walked, their lower halves dissolving into trails of smoke. None of them paid attention to him at first. They were far too busy bartering, exchanging items that flickered like memories. A spirit with skin like polished onyx passed Chuma, carrying a basket filled with glowing feathers. Another creature, its face hidden behind a mask carved from a single piece of moonstone, held up a jar containing a swirling shadow that moved like a living thing. Traders argued in whispers that sounded like wind chimes caught in a thunderstorm. Chuma clutched his chest, overwhelmed. This was no place for a mortal man. Yet he could not turn back now, not when Madam Ijeoma was somewhere among these stalls, doing who knew what with the villagers' stolen dreams. As he moved deeper into the market, the realization struck him that time did not flow normally here. Some spirits moved as though in slow motion, others blurred past as if racing through moments unseen. The path curved and reformed itself with every few steps, as though the market shifted to confuse wandering humans. Still, he pressed on, guided by instinct more than reason. Then he saw her, Madam Ijeoma, standing at a stall draped with shimmering cloth. She looked even younger than before, her back straight, her hair black and full, her skin glowing like she bathed in moonlight. Before her, the stall keeper, a faceless spirit draped in long robes, lifted a jar filled with tiny floating lights. Each light pulsed weakly, as though trying to escape. Chuma felt the truth strike him like a blow. Those were the villagers' dreams, their hopes, their memories, their very essence, trapped and traded like cheap fish in the market. He took a step forward, but a skeletal hand suddenly clamped around his arm. Chuma spun, heart slamming against his ribs, and found himself face to face with a tall spirit whose eyes burned like lantern flames. "Mortal," it whispered, its voice a chorus of echoes. "This market is not for the likes of you. Turn back if you value your soul." Chuma swallowed hard, fear seizing his breath, but he forced out the words anyway. "I can't. Someone is stealing from my people." The spirit tilted its head slowly, as though studying him. Then, to Chuma's surprise, it released his arm, its bony fingers sliding away like dry leaves in the wind. "Then walk carefully," it warned. "For in this place, even courage has a price." And with that, the spirit vanished, leaving Chuma alone to face the heart of the spirit market, and the evil blossoming within it. Chuma steadied himself, pushing aside the lingering fear the skeletal spirit had left in his chest. He watched Madam Ijeoma lean closer to the faceless merchant, whispering urgently. The merchant tilted its head in slow, deliberate movements, as though savoring her desperation. The jar of shimmering lights floated between them, spinning gently. Chuma could feel it, those lights were weakening. If Ijeoma sealed this trade, the dreams of his people might never return. The thought ignited something fierce within him. No matter how strange or dangerous this world was, he could not stand aside. He took a deep breath and stepped forward, but the ground beneath him rippled like disturbed water. A stall materialized in front of him where none had stood before. The merchant behind it appeared instantly, as though summoned by his intent. This spirit had no face, no eyes, no mouth, only a smooth oval head. Its form shifted constantly, robes dissolving into smoke and reforming again. On its table lay objects more unsettling than anything Chuma had yet seen. A bundle of laughter tied with string, a jar containing a beating shadow, folded memories wrapped like cloth, and a delicate box made from night sky itself. The merchant gestured silently, pushing forward the box of night. When it opened on its own, Chuma saw a swirling vision, a memory of himself as a child, chasing fish in the shallow river, his mother laughing behind him. He gasped, stepping back. The spirit leaned closer. Trade. A whisper rose, not from the being, but from the air surrounding it. A memory for a path, a dream for a truth, a shadow for protection. Everything has a price. Chuma's skin crawled. The market did not simply display items. It tempted, choosing what to reveal to each traveler. This stall had shown him a precious memory to lure him. He forced himself to avert his gaze. He could not afford to lose any part of himself. "No," he said firmly, though his voice trembled. "I have nothing to trade." The merchant's head tilted slowly, unnaturally. "Everyone has something to trade," the whisper insisted, "even if they do not wish to." The box of night closed abruptly, and the stall dissolved into mist, vanishing as quickly as it had appeared. When the smoke cleared, Chuma found himself only a few steps away from Madam Ijeoma. She held out a small pouch, woven from what looked like strands of moonlight, and pushed it toward the faceless merchant. The merchant reached for the pouch, its long fingers stretching in anticipation. Chuma's breath caught. This was it, the moment she would finalize the trade, the moment Omelemba would lose its soul forever. Before she could place the pouch into the merchant's hands, Chuma acted. He stepped out of the shadows and shouted, "Ijeoma, stop!" Her head snapped toward him, shock flashing across her unnaturally youthful face. The merchant froze, its fingers pausing mid-air. The entire market seemed to inhale sharply, lanterns dimming, shadows stretching closer. Chuma stood exposed, trembling yet resolute. This was the beginning of the confrontation he could not avoid. Madam Ijeoma's eyes widened, not with guilt, but with irritation, like someone who had just been interrupted in the middle of a delicate task. The youthful glow on her face flickered for a heartbeat, revealing the tired, lined features she once had. Then the illusion smoothed over again, and the young beauty returned. "Chuma," she said sharply, her voice low in warning. "You should not be here. This place is not meant for mortals who wish to keep their minds intact." Chuma stepped closer, forcing his legs to move despite the invisible weight pressing down on him. "You're stealing from the village," he said, pointing at the jar of shimmering lights. "Stealing our dreams, our memories. People are forgetting themselves. Children wander like strangers in their own homes. What you're doing is killing us." His voice trembled, but his resolve did not. Madam Ijeoma sighed, as though wearied by the accusations. "You do not understand," she replied. "All these years I gave and gave. Herbs, healing, advice, protection. All for a village that never looked twice at me except when they needed something. I aged while others lived easily. My bones grew weak, my vision dimmed, and no one cared. But here," she gestured around the shimmering market, her eyes shining with dangerous pride. "Here, I can reclaim what life stole from me. Here, the spirits see my worth." She turned back to the merchant, lifting the moonlight pouch once more. "One more trade," she whispered. "One more and my youth will be permanent. No more pain. No more weakness." Chuma shook his head. "Your youth is not worth the lives of the villagers. You're taking their futures, their hopes, their dreams. Without them, they're only shells." Ijeoma's expression hardened. "Then let them be shells. What is the purpose of dreams if they do not help you survive?" She raised the pouch higher, as if daring him to stop her. Before she could hand it over, the merchant stretched out an arm, blocking her. Its faceless head turned toward Chuma, its presence suddenly massive and heavy. The hum of the market grew louder. Whispers swirled around them like restless gusts. Interference, the air hissed. Mortals who interrupt trades must pay a price. Chuma felt the ground vibrate beneath him. The lanterns dimmed, casting shadows across the stalls. Spirits paused their bargaining, turning to watch. A circle of light formed around him, trapping him inside. His breath caught. He was being separated, judged. Madam Ijeoma stepped back, startled. "No," she snapped. "Not him. He has nothing to offer." The merchant ignored her. "Every mortal has something to trade," the whispering air intoned again. "And those who disrupt the balance must pay in memory or in shadow." Chuma forced himself to stand straighter, even as fear clawed at his spine. "If it's a price you want," he said, voice steady, "then I choose it myself." The entire market leaned in. Madam Ijeoma's face twisted, not with fear for Chuma, but with panic that her final trade was slipping away. And deep within the shimmering circle of light, Chuma felt something ancient stir, waiting to see what he would give up to protect his people. The circle of light around Chuma brightened until it felt as though he stood inside a rising sun. His shadow, once neatly cast behind him, stretched outward as if alive, writhing like a creature trying to escape his feet. The spirits gathered now in a silent ring, tall and short, formless and masked, drifting and walking, all staring with a hunger that made Chuma's skin crawl. The air pulsed with murmurs. Asterisk, what will he give? What can he offer? Asterisk, the market seemed eager, like a pack of wolves circling an unprotected calf. The faceless merchant raised a long arm, and Chuma's shadow lifted from the ground completely, peeling away like a sheet of black smoke. It took shape before him, standing upright, his exact silhouette but hollow inside, its movements sharp and unsettling. Chuma felt cold sweep up his spine. He sensed the connection instantly. Losing this shadow would mean losing a part of himself, something deeper than flesh or bone. The shadow trembled, flickering like a flame in strong wind. "Mortal," whispered the merchant, its voice drifting through the air, "offer your shadow as payment for your interference. Without it, you will walk unnoticed by the living and unrecognized by yourself. A man without a shadow forgets his place in the world." Chuma's breath caught. A shadow was not just darkness, it was identity, a spirit twin, a witness to every step of one's journey. He shook his head firmly. "No, cannot give that. My shadow is mine." The merchant tilted its smooth head as though studying him. Another jar floated to its side, filled with something soft and glowing. "Then offer a memory," the whisper came again. "One you cherish, one you fear to lose." The jar opened, showing swirling visions. His mother's smile, the first fish he caught with his father, the laughter of children by the riverbank. Even the memory of why he came here hovered dangerously close to the surface. Chuma clenched his fists. Losing any of these would change him forever. But before he could answer, another voice cut through the charged air. "Enough!" Madam Ijeoma shoved past a drifting spirit, her face twisted with fury. "This mortal is here because of me. If a price must be paid, let it be mine. Resume my trade and let him go." The merchant's faceless head turned toward her slowly. "Interruption has consequences," it murmured. "But intention carries weight." It lifted a hand toward her pouch. "You offer villagers' dreams to buy youth, yet you object when another offers what is his." Something in its tone made Ijeoma flinch. For the first time, Chuma saw fear crack through her youthful mask. "No," she said weakly. I didn't mean." But the market was no longer listening to her. The merchant faced Chuma again. "Make your choice, mortal." Chuma met the hollow gaze of his shadow, then the swirling memories in the open jar. He thought of the village, its laughter, its peace, its people drifting away into emptiness. He thought of children waking in confusion, elders forgetting their own names. The sacrifice he made here would protect them, or doom them. Taking a deep breath that shook through him, Chuma lifted his head. "I'll give." The ground trembled violently, cutting him off. A ripple of dark energy swept over the market, making lanterns flicker and spirits whisper in alarm. Something else had arrived. Something that did not belong to the merchant, to Ijeoma, or to any spirit here. And Chuma's decision would now have to wait. The tremor shuddered through the spirit market a second time, stronger than before. Stalls flickered like candle flames caught in a storm. Traders recoiled, retreating behind veils of mist. Even the faceless merchant, who had been unmoved by everything so far, slowly stepped back. The ripple of dark energy thickened, coiling through the pathways like a living serpent. Chuma felt it brush against his skin, cold and ancient, colder than river water in the deepest night. Whatever approached was feared even in this strange realm. Madam Ijeoma's confidence vanished. She stumbled backward, clutching her glowing calabash to her chest. The youthful glow around her faltered, revealing the tired lines beneath her enchantments. "No, not now," she whispered, trembling. "I haven't completed the trade. Why is he coming now?" Before Chuma could ask who he was, the market lights dimmed, and the shadows pulled together at the far end of the walkway. They gathered into a tall, imposing figure robed in swirling darkness. His feet made no sound. His presence pulled the air inward, as though every breath belonged to him. His face shifted like smoke, never settling, never showing emotion, and in his hand he held a staff carved from something that looked disturbingly like bone. Whispers erupted all around. The keeper of debts, the enforcer of trades. A mortal should not be here when he walks. Chuma swallowed hard. The keeper moved with deliberate slowness, but each step echoed across the market. Spirits bowed their heads. Some vanished entirely, dissolving into blue smoke. Only the faceless merchant remained still, its posture unnervingly rigid. Madam Ijeoma fell to her knees, the calabash rattling in her shaking hands. "Keeper," she whispered, "I was just completing my exchange. The price is fair, the terms clear. I bring no disorder." The keeper stopped directly in front of her. For a long moment, the smoke of his face twisted, forming lines that almost resembled eyes. When he spoke, the sound was neither loud nor soft. It simply was, vibrating through Chuma's bones. "You have opened the market before the appointed time." Ijeoma froze. "And no, I followed the ritual. I carried the moonlit calabash. The 7th year is completed. The moon has not yet reached its peak." A chill sliced through the marketplace. "You have cheated the cycle, herbalist. And for that, a debt must be paid." Chuma stepped forward instinctively. "She has been stealing from my people, taking their dreams." The keeper's head turned sharply toward him. Chuma felt his knees buckle under a wave of invisible pressure. His shadow flickered violently, trying to crawl away. He forced himself to stay upright. "A mortal," the keeper said, "and yet you walk here uninvited." His smoky face leaned close. "This, too, is a debt." Chuma's heart pounded. "I came to protect my village," he said, voice shaking but firm. "Take whatever price you must from me, but not from them." The keeper studied him for a long, silent moment. Then he lifted his staff and slammed it against the ground. A shockwave rippled outward. The jar of villagers' dreams shattered, releasing the lights inside. They fluttered weakly, drifting like wounded moths. Madam Ijeoma screamed. "No, that was my trade. My youth, my life." The keeper ignored her. "The debt must be paid," he intoned. "And payment begins now." The shadows surged, racing toward both Chuma and Ijeoma. And the true danger of the spirit market finally revealed itself. Chuma's breath caught in his throat as the shadows lunged forward, flowing like liquid darkness. They moved faster than his eyes could follow, coiling around the edges of the circle the keeper of debts had formed. The very air seemed to thicken, pressing down on him, weighing his limbs like stone. Panic rose, but he forced himself to stay still, searching for anything he could use. The marketplace, once alive with the chatter of spirits, fell into an eerie silence. Only the hum of the keeper's staff and the whisper of the shadows remained. It was as though the entire spirit market had held its breath, waiting for the unfolding confrontation. Madam Ijeoma stumbled backward, dropping her calabash. The soft glow of moonlight escaped, spreading over the ground in scattered sparks. "Chuma!" she cried, panic twisting her youthful features into something grotesque. "Do something. You don't know what you're facing." Chuma clenched his fists. He had never been a warrior. He had never wielded a sword or magic. But he knew he could not falter. His people's lives, their very souls, were at stake. Summoning every ounce of courage, he stepped forward into the circle. The shadows writhed, forming tendrils that reached hungrily toward him, and he felt the cold touch of emptiness brush his skin. Yet he did not retreat. The keeper of death's smoky face loomed above him. "The mortal offers defiance," it said, voice vibrating in the marrow of Chuma's bones. "Then he shall learn the cost." The shadows lunged again, but Chuma caught sight of something. A flicker of movement, a pattern in their swarming. He remembered an old tale his grandfather had told him, of spirits that could be tamed with focus and intent. Closing his eyes, Chuma centered himself, picturing the river, his village, and the faces of those who depended on him. Slowly, as if sensing his determination, the shadows hesitated. Their writhing slowed, circling around him without touching, as though testing his resolve. Madam Ijeoma's eyes widened. "What are you doing?" she demanded, but her voice held a note of fear she could not disguise. Chuma opened his eyes, realizing that for the first time in this twisted market, he had some control. The keeper of deaths watched silently, judging. Chuma extended his hand toward the nearest tendril of darkness. "Be gone!" he shouted, not with anger but with certainty. The shadow recoiled, as if stung, and he felt the tugging in his chest lessen. One by one, the writhing tendrils slackened, finally retreating into the ground, leaving the market eerily still. For a brief moment Chuma dared to hope, but he knew this was only the beginning. Madam Ijeoma still held her calabash. The keeper still lingered, and the final trade, the one that could doom his village, was yet to be stopped. Madam Ijeoma stumbled backward, her face pale beneath the false glow of youth. Her hands trembled as she picked up the glowing calabash from the ground. "You think you've won?" she hissed at Chuma, voice sharp but brittle. "You have no idea what you're dealing with. This market, these spirits, they obey power, not bravery. You cannot stop what is coming." She lifted the calabash high, and for a moment, the soft glow expanded, bright enough to blind him. The air thickened, carrying the scent of burning leaves and earth, and the faint murmur of lost voices whispered around them. Chuma's stomach churned, but he did not move. "Stop this, Ijeoma!" he shouted, trying to pierce through her fear and greed. "You've stolen enough from the people of Omelemba. The children, the elders, the dreams. They all belong to them." He stepped closer, raising his hand toward the calabash, not knowing if his gesture would work or provoke further wrath. The keeper of death's shadow shifted beside him, like a storm contained in smoke, watching, waiting. Madam Ijeoma's hand faltered, and for the first time, Chuma noticed the tremor in her fingers, the tiny crack in her youthful mask. She was afraid, not for herself, but of the consequence that now approached faster than even she had planned. Suddenly, the calabash quivered violently in her grip. A piercing hum rose through the spirit market, and lights that had been floating lazily in the stalls began spinning erratically, some darting toward the keeper as if seeking protection. Chuma realized that the spirits were responding not to power, but to the intent behind it. The keeper's smoky face tilted toward him. "The herbalist has abused the balance," it said softly, "yet courage can restore it. Are you willing to pay the price for their release?" Chuma's gaze fell on the jar of villagers' stolen dreams, still hovering faintly above the ground, dim and flickering. He nodded. "Yes, whatever it takes. I will pay." The keeper's staff struck the ground once, and the shadows of the market recoiled. Madam Ijeoma screamed as her illusion of youth began to peel away, revealing the withered, twisted figure she had tried so desperately to hide. Her eyes filled with terror, and for a fleeting second, Chuma saw not evil, but regret. A lifetime of longing to be seen, respected, and loved, twisted into greed and desperation. The keeper's voice rang again, like a chime carried on the wind. Then let the balance be restored. Let the stolen dreams return. The calabash shattered in Ijeoma's hands, spilling shards of glowing light across the market floor. Each fragment floated upward, spinning gently, and then shot through invisible currents toward the villagers whose lives had been stolen. The lights shimmered into the air above Chuma, bathing him in a soft radiance that carried laughter, memories, and dreams. Madam Ijeoma fell to her knees, sobbing silently as the keeper's shadow passed behind her, leaving a quiet, waiting stillness in the market. Chuma breathed in deeply, sensing the weight of the spirit market lifting from his shoulders. But he knew the final challenge was yet to come. The keeper's eyes, smoky and infinite, turned to him once more. "Now, mortal," it said, "we see if courage alone is enough to protect those you love." The keeper of death's smoky form loomed above Chuma, silent but commanding. The market had quieted, as if every spirit had paused to witness the unfolding of destiny. Chuma's heart pounded in his chest, not from fear this time, but from the realization that the final test, the last measure of courage and wisdom, was about to begin. He looked at Madam Ijeoma, slumped and trembling, her hands still glowing faintly from the calabash's fragments. She was no longer a threat, yet her greed had brought this moment of reckoning upon them all. The villagers' dreams hovered above the ground, fragile and flickering like candle flames, waiting to be restored. "You have acted with intent and bravery, mortal." The keeper's voice resonated like rolling thunder, yet soft enough to hear in Chuma's heart. "But power comes with a price. You wish to protect your people, yet the market demands balance. You must give something of equal value to restore what has been taken." Chuma swallowed hard, realizing the magnitude of what the keeper asked. His shadow still clung to him, tethered but restless. He thought of the memories he had glimpsed, the laughter of his friends, the warmth of his mother's hand, the feeling of the river flowing against his legs, and felt a pang of fear. Could he give up something so intimate to save an entire village? Madam Ijeoma's eyes widened, horrified. "No," she whispered, as if daring him to refuse. "Do not give yourself to them. Take their dreams, take everything, but not yourself." Chuma shook his head. Her words held no power over him now. He had seen the consequences of selfish desire too clearly. Closing his eyes, he reached deep within himself, summoning his courage, his love for the village, and the unbroken thread of hope that had carried him this far. He whispered aloud, "I offer myself, my memories, my shadow, my essence, if it means my people are safe." The keeper paused, the air vibrating with anticipation. Then, slowly, the smoky figure lowered its staff. A beam of soft light shot from its tip, touching Chuma and wrapping him in warmth. His shadow stretched, not in fear, but in surrender, intertwining with the light as a bridge between mortal and spirit. Madam Ijeoma cried softly, witnessing the sacrifice, while the floating jars of stolen dreams began to descend, dissolving into the hands and hearts of their rightful owners. The spirits watched silently, honoring the mortal who had dared defy the rhythm of the spirit market. As Chuma felt the threads of his memories shimmer and solidify, he realized something astonishing. He was not losing himself. Instead, his act of selflessness had strengthened the bond between his soul and the village. The keeper's smoky head tilted slightly, an acknowledgement of balance restored. "You have paid willingly," it intoned, "and the market remembers courage." With a wave of its staff, the invisible stalls and shimmering lights of the spirit market began to fade. The air shifted, the forest returned, and the village of Omelemba lay bathed in the first soft light of dawn. Chuma took a deep breath, feeling whole and yet profoundly changed. The spirit market had closed once more, leaving only the echoes of lessons learned, and the quiet knowledge that courage, selflessness, and love were worth any price. Chuma awoke with the soft warmth of dawn brushing his face. The cool touch of the river lapped gently against his legs as he knelt on the familiar riverbank. For a heartbeat, he feared he might still be trapped in the spirit market, that the events of the night had been a dream. But the gentle chirping of birds and the distant voices of villagers carried on the morning air assured him otherwise. Everything felt brighter, more vivid. The world of Omelemba had returned, and yet, Chuma knew he had been changed. Something ancient and eternal had etched itself into his soul. Rising, he walked into the village. The first person he saw was old Mama Nkiru, tending to her garden. Her eyes met his, and she smiled, the familiar warmth of recognition lighting up her face. "Chuma!" she exclaimed. "You're awake, and we remember." Her hands shook as she held his, confirming what Chuma had feared. The villagers had been on the brink of forgetting themselves. Children ran past him, laughing, chasing chickens and shouting the names of their friends and families. Every glance, every voice carried the relief and joy of regained memory. The stolen dreams, the lost pieces of their lives, had returned. Chuma's gaze shifted to the far edge of the village, where Madam Ijeoma stood, slumped against a tree. She had returned too, but her youth had vanished, leaving her old and fragile, the lines of time deepened by regret. The villagers, though joyful and restored, had noticed her presence. Some whispered, others stared silently. Chuma walked toward her, his heart heavy with understanding. "Ijeoma," he said gently, "the market has taken what it will, but it has given back what belongs to the people. You still have a choice. Redeem yourself by helping the village honestly, not by taking from it." She looked up at him, tears streaming down her weathered face. I wanted only to be seen," she admitted, her voice trembling. "To be young, to matter." Her shoulders sagged. "But I see now. I was blind to the cost." Chuma nodded solemnly. He did not hate her. Instead, he recognized the truth. Fear and longing can twist the noblest intentions into darkness. "Then begin anew," he said. "The villagers need healers, wisdom, and guidance, but never at the price of others' lives." Madam Ijeoma lowered her head, silent, and the village seemed to breathe in unison. Sensing that the spirit market cycle had ended, the balance restored. Chuma turned to watch the sun rise fully over the river, casting golden light on every roof and path. For the first time in weeks, a sense of peace settled over him. Omelemba had survived the night, and the village would remember, not just its dreams, but the courage of the fisherman who had faced the invisible market, and the evil herbalist to protect it. The days that followed Chuma's return were filled with a quiet, restorative energy. The villagers moved with renewed purpose, tending to their homes, animals, and fields with a vigor that had been absent for weeks. Children laughed in the streets, their voices ringing like silver bells, and elders recounted tales that had been nearly forgotten, their memories now restored with clarity. Chuma walked among them, a humble figure unnoticed by most, yet carrying the invisible weight of what had transpired in the spirit market. Though he looked the same, there was an unspoken understanding in his gaze, a depth born of sacrifice and confrontation with forces far beyond mortal reckoning. Madam Ijeoma had withdrawn to a small hut at the edge of the village. She worked quietly, tending herbs, preparing remedies, and offering guidance. But this time, she did so without the hunger for power that had driven her to the market. Chuma would occasionally pass by, observing her efforts with cautious hope. The villagers had begun to see the difference, noticing the sincerity in her actions, though some eyes remained wary. Healing, they realized, was not just about restoring the body. It was about rebuilding trust, nurturing integrity, and understanding the cost of ambition unchecked. Chuma understood this better than anyone, and he silently vowed to help the village navigate both its physical and spiritual recovery. One evening, as the sun sank low over the river, Chuma sat on the bank, watching the water ripple in soft golden waves. The river seemed to hum a gentle melody, carrying whispers of gratitude from unseen spirits who had witnessed his courage. Memories returned with each passing moment, flowing into every home, every child's heart, every elder's mind. Chuma closed his eyes, feeling the pulse of the village around him, alive and whole once more. He thought of the keeper of debts, the spirit market, and the difficult lessons he had endured. Courage alone had not saved them. Selflessness, wisdom, and faith in the goodness of his people had been equally necessary. As the first stars appeared, faint and silver, Chuma rose and walked toward the village. He knew the peace was fragile, as all balance must be maintained through vigilance and care. Yet he also knew the villagers now carried a gift more precious than anything the spirit market could offer: the knowledge of what was truly worth protecting and the courage to face darkness, even when it was invisible, even when it came cloaked in beauty or promise. The river rippled under the moonlight, whispering ancient approval, and Chuma felt the quiet satisfaction of a guardian who had fulfilled his duty. The village of Omelemba settled into a rhythm that felt both familiar and fragile. Chuma walked the streets each morning, greeting the children who ran past with carefree laughter and helping elders with small tasks that reminded him of home's simple joys. Yet beneath the surface of this restored life, a quiet awareness lingered. The spirit market was not gone in memory alone. It existed in the world, hidden, waiting for its next cycle, its next 7 years. Chuma knew the night he had faced Madam Ijeoma and the keeper of debts would not repeat exactly, but the lessons endured. Courage was vital, yes, but so too was vigilance, humility, and the understanding that selfish desire could corrupt even the noblest hearts. Madam Ijeoma had begun to teach the children about herbs, the river, and the subtle magic that connected all living things. But her lessons came with a warning woven into every word. "Use your gifts wisely," she said one afternoon, kneeling beside a patch of wild basil. "Power without responsibility brings ruin. Pride without understanding steals from those you love." Chuma watched from the edge of the clearing, feeling a mix of satisfaction and caution. The woman who had once sought to drain the village of its dreams had begun, perhaps, to understand the value of restitution. The villagers were attentive, learning not only about plants and remedies, but about the consequences of greed, fear, and envy. The subtle forms of darkness that could creep into hearts if left unchecked. That evening, as the sun dipped low behind the hills, Chuma found himself at the riverbank once more. The water shimmered with the reflection of fiery orange clouds, carrying soft ripples that danced like fleeting memories. He sat, dipping his hands into the cool stream, and felt a deep sense of connection, not only to the river and his village, but to the fragile balance between the world of mortals and the hidden world of spirits. He recalled the keeper of debts, its silent judgment, and the way the shadows had recoiled before his courage. It was a reminder that strength alone was not enough. Understanding, compassion, and selflessness were just as vital in preserving life and memory. As darkness fell, the stars began to twinkle, tiny mirrors of the floating lights he had seen in the spirit market. Chuma closed his eyes, taking in the night air. The village slept peacefully, unaware of how close it had come to losing itself. But Chuma would not forget. He had learned the cost of ambition untempered by conscience, the weight of choices made in desperation, and the power of courage in the face of unseen dangers. The spirit market might return someday, but he would be ready, and so would Omelemba. Weeks passed, and the rhythm of life in Omelemba had almost fully returned to normal. The river shimmered like liquid silver in the morning light, the children's laughter echoed in the streets, and the elders shared their stories with renewed clarity. Yet, the memory of the spirit market lingered in Chuma's mind. He often walked along the riverbank at dusk, staring at the reflection of the moon on the water, contemplating the delicate balance between the visible and invisible worlds. The village was restored, but he knew the invisible threads of magic and spirits had not vanished. They merely waited for the next time their cycle came due. One evening, Chuma noticed a faint shimmer along the river's edge, so subtle that he thought it might be a trick of the moonlight. But the shimmer pulsed rhythmically, like the heartbeat of something alive. His instincts told him that the spirit market had not fully disappeared. The keeper of debts, or some messenger of the market, had left a mark, a reminder of its presence. Chuma knelt by the water, dipping his fingers into the cool stream, feeling the faint vibration of magic threading through the river's currents. The villagers, asleep in their homes, were unaware of this quiet warning. Madam Ijeoma appeared from the shadows, her posture humble, her face lined with the wisdom and regret of what had transpired. "The market will return," she whispered softly, her voice carrying across the water. "And next time, it may demand more than courage alone." Chuma looked at her, eyes narrowing. "Then we must prepare, but not with fear. We must teach the village to value what is important, to resist temptation when it comes cloaked in beauty or promise." Ijeoma nodded, realizing that this lesson could not be learned overnight. She had seen the cost of ambition, and perhaps now she would guide the people in understanding the true value of their dreams. The river glowed faintly under the moonlight as the two of them stood in silence, feeling the gentle hum of magic in the air. Chuma knew the spirit market had left a part of itself behind. A challenge, a whisper, a reminder that balance must always be maintained. But for now, Omelemba slept peacefully, dreaming its own dreams without interference. Chuma closed his eyes and breathed deeply, letting the cool night air fill him with resolve. If the market returned, he would be ready. And the village, with lessons learned, would face it not as victims, but as guardians of their own fate. The days grew longer, and the village of Omelemba thrived in the warm glow of mid-morning sun. Yet, Chuma noticed subtle changes among some villagers, small forgettings, brief lapses, and unexplained fatigue. Though nothing like the mass forgetfulness that had plagued them before, he recognized the faint echo of the spirit market's influence, a whisper of temptation that lingered even after the market's closure. It was a reminder that balance was fragile and vigilance required more than courage. It required constant awareness. The invisible threads of desire and ambition could tempt even the most careful, and Chuma knew the market's reach extended further than anyone could see. One afternoon, Chuma walked to the edge of the river where shadows gathered early in the evening. Madam Ijeoma joined him, carrying a small bundle of herbs and a weathered book. "You see it too, don't you?" she asked softly, gesturing to the faint shimmer along the water. Even now, months later, the market's presence haunts the village. Chuma nodded. "I feel it," he said, his voice low but steady. "It's subtle, but it's there. People could be drawn to it again if we're not careful. I thought the danger had passed, but the truth is, the market leaves marks that don't vanish easily." Ijeoma sighed, a sound heavy with the weight of understanding. "Then we must prepare the villagers, not with fear, but with knowledge. Teach them the worth of their dreams, the value of selflessness. Only then can they resist when temptation comes disguised." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the river, Chuma closed his eyes and breathed deeply. He could feel the pulse of the market in the air, like the heartbeat of a distant giant, ever watchful. He realized that courage alone was not sufficient. It was the combination of wisdom, love, and the understanding of consequences that would keep the village safe. Madam Ijeoma knelt beside him, scattering the herbs along the riverbank. Their aroma mingled with the evening air, carrying subtle protection for the village. In that moment, Chuma understood that the true battle against the spirit market was not a single night's confrontation, but a lifelong vigilance, an awareness of desires, choices, and the invisible forces that shape fate. And as the stars appeared above Omelemba, twinkling like scattered lanterns in the night sky, Chuma vowed silently, the village would not fall again, not on his watch. Weeks turned into months, and the village of Omelemba had begun to flourish as never before. Crops grew tall and healthy, children ran freely along the riverbanks, and laughter filled the air like music carried on the wind. Yet Chuma and Madam Ijeoma knew that the village's safety was not guaranteed. The spirit market had left an invisible imprint, a lesson in vigilance. No one could predict when the 7-year cycle might stir again, nor could they assume the spirit's curiosity or hunger would fade. Chuma walked the village streets daily, quietly observing, guiding, and teaching the value of memory, dreams, and restraint. He had become more than a fisherman. He was a guardian, a silent protector of what the villagers could not always see but always needed. Madam Ijeoma had changed profoundly as well. She worked alongside the villagers with humility and purpose, sharing her knowledge of herbs and healing without greed. Her youthful illusions had vanished, replaced by the calm dignity of someone who had faced her own darkness and survived. She would sometimes speak to Chuma as they walked along the river, her voice steady. "The market tests more than strength," she said once, scattering seeds along the bank. "It tests character, wisdom, and courage, but also understanding. You've taught me that, Chuma, and the villagers too. We are all, in some way, students of balance." Chuma nodded, gazing at the river's surface, where the light of the sun danced in gentle ripples. "Yes," he replied, "balance is the lesson, not victory. We protect what matters not because we fear loss, but because we understand its value." That evening, as twilight settled over Omelemba, Chuma climbed a small hill overlooking the village. The lanterns in homes flickered to life, smoke spiraled gently from cooking fires, and the river glimmered silver under the rising moon. He felt a soft pulse beneath his feet, a subtle hum that reminded him of the spirit market's presence, distant but ever watchful. Yet he no longer felt fear. Instead, he felt a quiet confidence, a readiness to face whatever challenges came, armed with knowledge, courage, and the unbreakable bond between him and his village. Chuma closed his eyes, breathing in the cool night air. He knew the market could return, the shadows could rise again, but he also knew that Omelemba was prepared. Its people had reclaimed their dreams, and the memory of sacrifice and bravery would endure in every home, in every heart. The village was no longer helpless. It was vigilant, wise, and strong. For Chuma and the villagers, the night was no longer a threat. It was a reminder of their resilience, their courage, and their unbroken spirit. The first light of dawn broke gently over Omelemba, spilling gold across the river and washing the village in warmth. Chuma stood at the edge of the riverbank, watching the water shimmer as it carried memories, hopes, and dreams along its flowing path. The village was alive once more, stronger than before, and the lingering traces of the spirit market seemed to have faded, leaving only lessons etched in invisible threads. The children laughed, elders tended their homes, and the scent of fresh herbs mingled with the earthy aroma of tilled soil. Everything was ordinary again, and yet nothing would ever be quite the same. Madam Ijeoma approached slowly, her steps tentative. She looked older now, her face lined with both time and regret, but there was a light in her eyes that had not been there before. A glimmer of understanding, humility, and acceptance. She carried a small pouch of herbs, carefully tending to it as she spoke. "Chuma," she said softly, "I have learned that taking from others brings nothing but emptiness. Power without conscience is a curse, not a gift. The market has taught me my lesson, and I will spend my days giving, not taking." Chuma nodded, his heart heavy yet relieved. He saw in her the possibility of redemption, the hope that even the most misguided heart could find its way back to what was good. The village stirred as the sun climbed higher, golden light spilling over rooftops and riverbanks. Chuma turned toward the center of Omelemba, where children ran and elders spoke in voices full of life and memory. For the first time, he allowed himself a deep exhale, feeling the burden of the spirit market lift from his shoulders. Yet he remained vigilant, knowing that courage, sacrifice, and wisdom were not one-time acts but continuous choices. The keeper of debts, the faceless merchant, and the hidden market may one day return. But the village, Chuma realized, would face it stronger, wiser, and united. He knelt by the river, dipping his hand into its cool, flowing waters. We will protect our dreams, he whispered. And remember the price of selfishness, the value of courage, and the strength of community. Madam Ijeoma knelt beside him, and together they watched the river sparkle under the morning sun. The shadows had receded, the market had closed, and life, fragile but enduring, carried on. Omelemba was no longer simply a village. It was a testament to courage, a sanctuary of memory, and a home that would remember its own heart forever. And as the wind rustled through the trees and the river sang its gentle song, Chuma understood a truth deeper than magic or fear. True power lies not in youth, beauty, or stolen dreams, but in the courage to protect what is most precious, no matter the cost. Thank you for watching Franca Stories. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, we love you.